it goes without saying, really, that a lot of post-separation conflict is driven by the party's feelings. And that's what drives conflict normally.
Right. I mean, that's what drives it during the divorce or during the marriage too, right? Is your emotions, your feelings.
A lot of divorcing people live in that stage where they're constantly angry and feel for some reason, and this is an odd thing about human nature, but people want to express it.
They do, and they feel like if they don't get to express it to the person they're angry at, that they're somehow wronged by that inability to express it.
Right.
And they also...
that they're letting him away with it.
Yeah.
He's not going to get away with this.
Yeah, he's going to know how I feel. And really, the only thing it does is cause problems and create more damage. And here's the thing. Look, if your ex is a monkey's butt, like mine is, in my opinion, in certain ways, you lashing out at him is not suddenly going to change him.
Right. It's not. And it doesn't hurt him either, really.
No, because he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's like, pfft.
Yeah.
What's funny about divorce is, people separate and then they carry on their relationship in a negative way.
Right.
And they want to say, well, this person's got to know how I feel.
Right.
Yeah, we have cases in mediation where people don't do anything except sit there and snipe at each other, and we have to get those people separated.
Right.
And essentially what they're doing is they're having their marital conflict right in front of us.
Right.
And what's the point of that? They're separating, but
yeah,
they're divorcing.
Yeah, and I mean, part of what you're doing in a divorce is you're trying to transition to a better life for yourself, right? I mean, I think that's ultimately, if you're gonna have to go through this and you've got to endure the pain of it, whether you're the one that wanted it or whether you're not the one that wanted it, divorce is an opportunity for change. It's a transition. And so if you're going to go through this, as difficult as it is, and I know that firsthand, but if you're going to go through it, please, 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 let's at least do it in a way that creates some sort of positive outcome for us on the other side. Yeah. And I mean, that's ultimately what you're trying to do. So if you keep looking back, so to speak, behind you and re-engaging with your ex on negative issues over and over and over, you can't walk forward because you're looking back.
And part of the problem is that we're a lot of us are under court orders to communicate.
Right.
And so how do we communicate, and how do we resist the temptation to do what we all want to do, which is to tell that person what we really think?
Here's the thing is that you have this situation where you've been in this intimate relationship with this person. And so, when you first meet somebody, you're not familiar with them. And so you don't have a lot of conflict or a lot of issues because you don't know that person well enough. And then you get closer and closer and you get into a relationship and especially in an intimate relationship, obviously you have moments where you have fighting and arguing and conflict and different things. The odd thing about a divorce or breakup with kids or without kids, either way, I'm just saying if you weren't married but you have kids, obviously that's probably one of the situations. If you're in that situation, what you're trying to do is to kind of go backwards and pull back from having been intimate with this person to going back to kind of that extended relationship where you don't really know each other that well, you're not close or whatever. And so that's what requires the boundaries and the building of the wall so that you can push this person back outside your world to where they become more of a stranger to the inner workings of your world, except for things that they really need to know that are relevant to the kids.
Right. So if the first principle we were talking about is accepting that the relationship is over, the next step is to realize that they're not entitled to know how you feel. And by the way, you're not entitled to know how they feel either.
Yeah. The communication with your ex at this point is either only to discuss the business of dissolving your marriage and moving on with your life. And honestly, if you don't have kids and you're not able to have that conversation cordially, or even if you do have kids and you're not able to have that conversation cordially, get into mediation, get it done and over with quickly, and move on with your life. But if you have kids, you really have to get into this routine of, this is a polite business transaction, just like you would interact with your server at a fancy restaurant, how you would be very...
At Olive Garden, for example.
Well, I don't call that necessarily high-end. I mean, I love Olive Garden. It's my favorite place. We eat at the one in San Diego all the time, but I love it. But I don't consider that necessarily high-end. So if you went into a really swanky restaurant and you have a server serving you, then you're going to be very cordial, you're going to be very polite, but you're also going to be somewhat formal and things like that. And so that's, to me, how the communication needs to be.
Although you can't be too formal.
I was going to say, but however, we do not want it to be so formal that it's a backward way of sticking your finger in their eye. You just need to state the facts of what needs to be communicated. You don't communicate your feelings and all that, but you don't be overly formal pretending like you don't know them or something that's going to push their button or tick them off. That's not helpful either. But if you can start, drawing these boundaries and, just moving forward and not sharing your feelings and, getting in with a therapist and having your communication be, cordial, but just on a need-to-know basis, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's going to help move you through this process faster. It's going to help bring you peace in your life. And honestly, is fighting with your ex over every little thing like this, really worth it? I mean, in my experience, it wasn't. Yes, it is. No, well, that's because of you and your touchy-feely self. But for me, I mean, it just brought me more misery. And so I did engage in that. I'm not going to say I was perfect. Lord knows I'm not. But I did engage in that for, 6 to 12 months. And as we started going to co-parenting classes and doing different things and learning about all this stuff, I really started to try to put these things into practice. And it really helped me feel better. I don't know that it did anything to change him. I mean, from my perspective, he's still the same person he always was, but it's just, I don't have to deal with it anymore, so I don't care. He's always been a monkey's butt. He's always going to be a monkey's butt. I mean, until he gets it, I don't know how long that's going to take. It's been 13 years. I'm still waiting. But I have peace. And I, at the end of the day, lay my head on my pillow knowing that I've done everything I can to serve others, to be a good wife, and to be a good mother, and that's and to serve the Lord, and that's just all I can do. Right. So the bottom line is, your feelings are your feelings. Their feelings are their feelings. You're not entitled to know how they feel about you, negative, positive, or in between, and they're not entitled to know how you feel either. So don't tell them how you feel. Don't tell them. Yeah. You communicate about the kids. Hey, got a doctor's appointment this week. I wanted to remind you, and if you could ask about the asthma, that'd be great. And then nothing about how you feel about the situation or about the relationship or anything. Right. We know it's tough, but hang in there. If you're struggling with it, seek out, some coaching services or something. I mean, or come to Tammy's support group, even if you live in New Jersey. Come to the support group or contact us for coaching services with us. And as always, we really hope this has served you. We hope it's been helpful.